my gosh, this is my childhood nostalgia. Pretty much just all around being a massive dick. I feel gypped. That's how I'm feeling right now. As if you could fight me off. Whoppa, whoppa, whoppa. We're gonna go back to the basics, folks. Twilight. I know what you're wondering. Joe, where the hell have you been, Loca? And to that I say, I have been right here. Right here. Where the hell have you been, Loca? How about we just put that behind us? Welcome to La Casa de la Jo, the secret sanctum, if you will, the place where none of the magic happens, but we still have a good time. Another question you may have: what are you going to do for your grand return to YouTube after a month-long, 2-month-long hiatus? Well, we're gonna go back to the basics, folks. Twilight. Me and Twilight have a very sordid affair going on that started when I was about 9 years old. I know there's a lot of predatory behavior in that statement, but that's when it started. I was obsessed with Twilight, and I'm still one of those bitches that watches the movies at least once a year. So I want to know if I have spent the last decade of my life, over a decade of my life, decade and a half of my life, I can't do math, loving the series just for it to be shit. I haven't reread it since high school. Middle school, I'm not sure. And I'm feeling nostalgic. I'm feeling like I want to hop back into a story that I know I love. Maybe. I'm putting the mic on Terry the Triceratops. Yes, I did crochet his bib. He's looking very handsome today. Okay. The font is huge. She's like, okay, sleeveless white eyelet lace shirt with a parka. Fashion genius. Okay. Say, ha ha ha. Is that no, Mom? Absolutely not. I tried to film a clip outside and that went woefully wrong. So welcome back to La Casa de la Jo. The bed is rumpled because I'm feeling a little bit rumpled. I'm on page 174 of Twilight, this beautiful, glorious piece of literature, and I have a couple things to say. In terms of the writing style, I hesitate to say that any writing style is bad because I think that writing style is very subjective to the reader and also to the writer, but I don't like her writing style at all. She's a very beat by beat author, if that makes sense. She will write, I stepped up to the door, and with my right hand I turned the knob. 1 foot in front of the other, I entered into the room, and here's every single thing listed out that I saw. It's a very physical writing style, let's say. We're focused on the physical rather than the emotional and what we're thinking. We're mainly focused on what we see in front of us, and that's what the author gives us. I don't like that. And as for Bella as a main character, I feel like Bella is a teenager written by a teenager for teenagers, because she is a brat. She's a brat, and she really does think that the entire world revolves around her. Now, personality-wise, Bella has all of the personality of a uncooked piece of pasta. She's very rigid, she's very bland, let's say, and everyone seems to love her, which is like a teenage girl's dream, right? With her obsession with Edward. At this point where I'm at, we have had maybe 10 scenes where Edward and Bella interact in any way, shape, or form. And most of those 10 scenes involve Edward questioning her intelligence in some sort of way, or insulting her in some sort of way, or pretty much just all around being a massive dick. So I don't know, I genuinely don't understand how we've gotten to the point where they've met and now Bella is just obsessed with him. I don't know if he's just got really big Dick energy, or if it's the mystery of him, or if Bella just has daddy issues. I don't know. We've just met Jacob, which I think that shirtless Taylor Lautner has kind of clouded my vision a little bit about Jacob, because I forgot the fact that Jacob is literally a child at the beginning of this series, and he is kind of irritating. He's kind of irritating, I'm not gonna lie. Another thing that I'm noticing throughout the course of this book is that Bella is not very good with names. Bella's not very good with names, which relatable, but also I don't know why Stephanie Meyer insists on having every like scene have a massive group of people and saying that Bella cannot remember their names, because that's happened multiple times. She's like, oh yeah, well, I was introduced to this group of people, but I don't remember any of their names. Well, if they're not going to be characters, why are we introducing the group of people? I don't know. They're just unnamed group of pedestrians. I have no idea who they are. This book is making me feel so conflicted because the writing is not good. The story is not great, but I feel so at home and so comfy in this book. So it's one of those experiences where I can recognize the flaws and the faults now as an adult, but I still am tied to those emotions that I was feeling when I read this series for the first time. You better hold on tight, Spider Monkey, because I've got some things to say. I'm on page 295, so like over halfway done, right? Like I said yesterday, okay, the writing is bad, and I didn't realize how bad it was until my mother, my wonderful mother, reminded me of the fact that when I was in the 3rd grade, Twilight was in our school library, and the librarians had placed it at a 4th grade reading level, which I would honestly have to agree. I think the hardest word that I've come across yet has been undulate, which is a slightly disturbing word in and of itself. But let's talk about the content, okay? Because the writing style is something that I can kind of forget about. It's something that I can just kind of let go. There are a couple of instances where I'm like, oh my gosh, the angst is like 2000s Evanescence level of angst. That's where we're at. The first time that I read Twilight, my mother actually read it out loud to me so that she could edit out all of the spicy bits. Because a 9-year-old should probably not be reading about horny teenagers and over 100-year-old hot sexy vampires. So she read it aloud to me. I don't know how she got through it, honestly. God bless her, because I have no idea how she got through all of this teenage angst. Let's talk about Bella, okay? One of the main aspects of her personality is that she falls a lot. She's very clumsy, okay? And I didn't notice this before, but it's to the extent that I'm wondering whether or not Bella actually has some sort of medical condition, because I swear that she can't walk in a straight line. She has problems with roots, trees. She's just accident prone to the point where I'm like, maybe you should go to a doctor. Maybe you should go get some blood tests. Maybe get a CAT scan or something, some CTs. I don't know. MRIs. I don't know medical terms. Does Bella live under a rock? Because there is a scene where Rosalie has... Edward's driving Bella to school at this point, and Rosalie's having to drive the rest of the Cullens to school. We'll get to the school part in a little bit, because I have some questions about that as well. But Bella goes and sees Rosalie's car. Everybody's gawking at it, and she says, what kind of car is that? And Edward says, an M3. And she says, I don't speak car and driver. And he says, it's a BMW. I nodded. I'd heard of that one. You've heard of a BMW? Congratulations. What rock is she living under? What planet is Bella from? Because I'm slightly concerned that she may actually be some sort of alien. I'm not quite sure. Bella and Edward quite literally have a conversation in which Edward says, You don't seem like you're 17. Like, pardon me, that sounds like predatory behavior to me, sir. That sounds like predatory behavior to me. And also, I think Bella Swan is the most 17-year-old that I have ever read about in my entire life. I don't think she is in any way an old soul like Edward is trying to pretend that she is. I also don't think that she's like, not like other girls like Edward thinks that she is. I think she's a 17-year-old girl and she seems 17, which makes the fact that he's over 100 even more creepy. Excuse me, pardon me. Did you guys see that motherfucker? Holy shit, that hornet was the size of my ball sack. Okay. As fantasy romance readers, we tend to kind of overlook the whole he's 500 years old and she's fresh 18. But I feel like it's easier to do when the female main character, the younger one perhaps, actually acts a little bit older for their age, acts mature for their age or whatever, and is actually mature. Bella is a 17-year-old. She's a 17-year-old, and like I said yesterday, she's a teenager written by a teenager, and it really feels like that. So now that we've, touched on Eddie's, can I call him Eddie? Are you cool with that, Eddie? I'm cool with that. Now that we've touched on Eddie's questionable predatory behavior, let's keep on with that sort of thing. There's so many times within the first half of this book where Eddie so blatantly infantilizes Bella that it's not even funny. He acts like, granted, we've already discussed the fact that she falls down and we think it's a medical condition. We're gonna keep going with that. But he literally will go from saying that she is the most important thing to him to questioning whether or not she has a brain in her head at all, or whether or not she can even walk to the door by herself. So he kind of acts like she's a child, which makes the whole you don't seem 17 thing a little bit more eerie, a little bit more questionable, if I'm being honest. And along that same vein, Eduardo is so mean. If a man ever talked to me like this, I would punch him in the face. He is so hot and cold. Like I said, one minute he'll be like, oh my God, you're the most important thing to me ever. Like, he'll be like touching her face and all this other shit, brushing the hair off her shoulder. And then in the next moment, he literally jumps down her throat for her just saying, oh yeah, you're important to me too. He's like, why would you say that? Horrible, nasty ass person. Like, what were we all obsessed with? Edward is literally the meanest person in this book. Oh my God! Oh my God, you need to go away, sir. Please leave me be. I'm literally fighting for my right to exist. We're about to finish this update standing up with this broom because that fucking hornet is huge and it won't leave me the fuck alone. Apparently it doesn't like me shitting on Twilight. That's okay. Question for the audience. Why are the vampires in high school? Why are they spending eternity going to high school? I don't get it. And Edward's flimsy excuse of, the younger we start somewhere, the longer we can stay, doesn't make any sense. They could literally live out in the woods. If Carlisle wants to be a doctor, Carlisle can be a doctor. Why does he have to have adoptive kids? They can literally live anywhere. Why are they going to high school? They have the whole world at their fingertips. They're fucking rich. Why are they going to high school? I don't get it. That makes no sense to me. Are they trying to hold on to their humanity or something? I have no idea. Now there's a yellow jacket. Get on down the road. Are they trying to hold on to their humanity? Like, what are they doing? Why are we going to high school? Also, with a bunch of vampires that have questionable control, is high school not like the worst place that they could be? Like, in a room full of sweaty, blood-filled teenagers, is that not the worst place that you would want to be? Why would you want to be there? All around temptation, especially for Jasper, which Edward's like, oh yeah, he kind of struggles sometimes with being a vegetarian, but we still make him go to high school for some fucking reason. I don't know. Also, the whole conversation where Bella finally confronts Edward about the fact that he's a vampire, literally, I was rolling my eyes so hard because Edward, number one, Bella guesses it so easily. How have they not been discovered before? Number two, Edward just accepts the fact, oh, you're a vampire, aren't you? And he's like, well, you're not wrong. Bella's just like, okay, yeah, vampires exist. I'm sorry. If somebody told me that they were a vampire, I would probably want to send them to a psychiatrist or put them on a 72-hour hold at the hospital. But yeah, it's a little questionable. I was cringing. There's so many times where I'm like, this is literally the cheesiest thing that I've ever read in my life. And then I go over to the other side and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is my childhood. Nostalgia. Am I nostalgic? Am I cringing? Am I rolling my eyes? Am I doing both at the same time? Yes. Now I'm going to go inside because I'm starting to sweat a little bit under the hood. And I'm really not feeling this fight with the hornets today. That hornet literally said, as if you could fight me off. Okay, as if you could fight me off. Whoppa, whoppa, whoppa. I have avoided filming this final clip for 3 days, Mr. Bernard. And that is because I finished it, and I feel like some tiny piece of my childhood has forever been tainted. Some integral part of who I am as a reader, as a human being, has been thwarted, has been removed, has been stained. I didn't like it. And what makes me super sad is I spent like a good chunk of my adolescence loving this series. And I still love the movies. I still watch them at least once a year. They're like in the campy department at this point, but I thought we were going to have a grand old nostalgic time, and I feel like a part of me is now tainted. I feel kerfuffled. I feel bamboozled. I feel gypped. That's how I'm feeling right now. We talked about the writing style being bad, and it is. It's bad. I mean, if I would have read Twilight for the first time right now, I would have probably given it a hot 2 stars. This time, because of my nostalgia, trying to preserve a tiny bit of my happy childhood memories, I gave it a 3. And that's me being very, very, very generous, okay? Bella Swan is the most 17-year-old that I have ever read about in my life. And throughout the narrative, both she and Edward and the people around her kind of push this persona onto her that she is an old soul, or that she's, you know, not like other girls. She is the least not like other girls girl that I have ever read about in my entire life. The only thing special, different, strange about her is that she reads Wuthering Heights for fun. And I don't know why anyone would want to put themselves through that sort of misery, but apparently Bella Swan does it. I don't know if it's for the vine, I don't know if it's for the vibes. Edward, Eddylicious, Bodicious, he is mean. He's mean, and I really don't understand why he has a thing for Bella, because, I mean, the only thing that really, you know, gets him going is the fact that, number one, he can't read her mind, and number two, he wants to eat her. There's one scene in particular where Edward is talking about the mind of Jessica and how boring and bland and, you know, whatever it is, but I don't understand why he would find Bella so intriguing, because I feel like if he could actually read her mind, he would be able to see that she is literally just like Jessica. She's having all of the exact same thoughts as Jessica. Another thing about Edward is that multiple times he refers to Bella's classmates as children, and Bella even calls this out because she's like, well, you know, they're my classmates, you know, I'm the same age as them, and he's like, no, yeah, I know that, but you're different. And I'm like, no, she's not. No, she's really not. She's really not. She's 17. She's 17, okay? I don't know what it is about Bella that takes her from the these are children category into the okay for romance category, but I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it. I'm just not seeing it. In my opinion, this reads like a fever dream. It really does. It reads like a fever dream. Of course, I still have some nostalgia for the series. I'm going to still have love for the series. I'm not hating on Twilight just to hate on Twilight because I think it's cool. I genuinely was obsessed with it. I went to the Twilight Marathon. I had a pen the kiss on the werewolf poster at my birthday party in middle school, okay? This was my shit. Now I'm just now realizing that my shit is actually shit, and I am flabbergasted, okay? Flabbergasted. I'm troubled. I don't know where to go from here. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to join the NotSoAverageJo army. We would love to have you here. But that is all I have for you guys today, and I will see you next time.